but it always comes back to how do we help the consumer make a product decision? Can they buy the car? Can they buy, the stick of deodorant from P&G or Unilever or whoever it is? Can they buy the Hostess Twinkies that went out of business this weekend? Wasn't that funny? There was a run on Twinkies this weekend. I mean, whoever thought we'd hear that? How does that work for the consumer? And then throw in the one crazy thing about mobile is that you can do it online and offline, which you can't do online, because you can do it asynchronous or synchronous. And there's the whole touch, and there's the whole interaction, which online has no interaction. And I think that's going to be the downfall of online, because you'll see the consumers want to interact more and more with the advertiser and with the advertiser product. I think that becomes cool.
So Angelina, coming from the agency side, as Richie mentioned, it really all boils down to what the advertisers and agencies are going to push forward. Are you seeing many of the same things that Richie's talking about? I'm hearing fragmentation of device, fragmentation of the industry. Would you concur that those are the primary challenges facing you in your everyday work within the agency world?
It's yes and no. So on the one hand, absolutely, there's still a lack of just common tools for mobile, things that we expect as a natural from our online experience. And it's just very basic, the ability to do an apples-to-apples comparison across all the variety of buys we are able to do now in mobile just doesn't exist. We've run campaigns where every partner has given us the data in slightly different forms. So agencies, we need to go in there and invest our own time and efforts into creating a more standardized way to convert this data. But we don't, going back to agencies needing to convince the advertisers, that's not something that advertisers want to be, our brand clients want to hear about. They don't want to know that there are these challenges and we can't do a simple comparison across buys and placements and creative formats. So that's one part of the equation. But the other part of the equation that I feel is really risky in all of our talk about mobile and mobile ad spend is continuously I keep hearing what sounds like this desire to talk about a screen, right? What mobile can do. It's ironic, but it alarms us that a lot of the conversation tends to be about influencing screen time and not the consumer, to your point. There's not been a lot of movement despite in the last few years where we're trying to connect the dots together. So how does the mobile piece connect to what happens in online? How does connect to TV? How are these things interconnected? I mean, Eric, you gave a great example. You spoke about kind of the rise of time spent on, digital, including mobile. But that total time spent with media, single-digit growth. So something about our relationship with media has fundamentally changed, and we're not talking about that. We're just talking about mobile changing.
Right. Yeah, and I want to pick up on the idea of cross-platform, because you run the temptation of, I think all of us saying, well, invest more in mobile, prioritize mobile. But I think we all realize that as a consumer, mobile is never in a vacuum. It's always typically used while doing something else, sometimes on its own. But I want to go to Angelina and talk about Carat being cross-platform, Ansible being primarily mobile. You deal across platforms. You yourself deal in online and mobile. How do you think about the consumer? And are you still in that kind of test and learn and let's just understand what the consumer is doing and then we can measure and compare and optimize? Or where are you as Carat and how does all this fit into your plan to optimize in mobile?
So we have a specific group that is dedicated to mobile, but I think one of the biggest challenges is, when we look at the results from a lot of our campaigns, we're finding that even through our own online display advertising, there is spillover into the mobile. We've seen campaigns where, it's supposedly 100% web-based, and the results show that 20% of the impressions are being served to mobile or tablet, and then 30% of your click-throughs are coming from mobile and tablet. So to your point where engagement with mobile devices are a lot higher, we're seeing that, but from a creative perspective and from a technology perspective, we're not, I think this industry is not quite there yet in terms of thinking of it that way.